I still remember the exact moment everything collapsed. Tuesday morning, March 2024. I was sitting in my Honda Civic in the parking lot of my day job, killing time on my phone during lunch. Then I saw an email I wasn't supposed to see. Account suspended. Funds frozen. My hands started shaking. $15,000. Gone. 2 years of work. Every late night. Every sacrifice. Wiped out in 72 hours. And the worst part, I didn't break any rules. I had no warning. And I had no idea it was coming. All text. Let me back up. My name is Alex. And like 45% of Americans according to a 2023 Bankrate survey, I was running a side hustle. Not because I wanted some extra vacation money or a new TV. I needed it to survive. My full-time job as a warehouse supervisor paid $42,000 a year. In Columbus, Ohio, that might sound okay. But with rent at $1,300 a month, student loans at $400, car payment, insurance, groceries, utilities, I was barely breaking even. Some months I wasn't breaking even at all. I was drowning slowly, watching my credit card debt climb higher every month. That's why I started the side hustle 18 months earlier. I'd gotten into print-on-demand merchandising. If you don't know what that is, it's basically designing t-shirts, mugs, phone cases, stuff like that, and selling them online. The company handles production and shipping. You just create the designs and market them. It seemed perfect. Low startup costs, work from home, set my own hours. I spent $300 on design software and online courses. Every night after my 9-hour shifts, I'd come home, eat dinner, and work until midnight or 1 a.m. Weekends, I'd put in 12-hour days. My girlfriend Sarah barely saw me anymore. "You were obsessed," she'd say, watching me hunched over my laptop at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night. And she was right. But I was obsessed because I had to be. I watched my parents struggle my entire childhood. I watched my dad work 2 jobs and still lose our house in 2008. I wasn't going to let that be my story. The first 6 months were brutal. I made maybe $200 total. Mostly sales to friends and family who felt bad for me. I was starting to think I'd wasted my time and money. Then something clicked. I found my niche. Funny designs for healthcare workers. My aunt was a nurse, and she helped me understand what would resonate. By month 8, I was making $500 a month. By month 12, $1,500. By month 15, I was pulling in $3,000 monthly. That extra money, it changed everything. I paid off 2 credit cards. I took Sarah to a nice restaurant for the first time in forever. I started sleeping better at night. I was using a platform called Merchflow. It wasn't the biggest print-on-demand company, but they had good margins and fast payouts. Every 2 weeks, like clockwork, they'd deposit my earnings. I watched that balance grow. $2,000, $4,000, $7,000. By February 2024, I had $10,000 sitting in my Merchflow account. I was waiting to withdraw it. See, I had a plan. I was going to use that money as a down payment on a small condo. Something that would get me out of renting. Start building equity. Sarah and I had been talking about moving in together. This was going to be our foundation. Our future. I just needed to hit that $10,000 mark. I hit it on February 23rd. I remember because it was Sarah's birthday, and I told her that night. She cried happy tears. We looked at condos online, talking about which neighborhoods we liked, imagining our life together. I told her I'd transfer the money to my bank account on Monday and we'd start seriously looking. That Monday never came. Not the way I planned anyway. That Sunday night, February 25th, I got the first warning sign. I tried to log into my Merchflow account to check on some orders. Invalid credentials. I figured I typed my password wrong. I tried again. Same message. I used the password reset feature. Nothing happened. I wasn't worried yet. Technical glitches happen. I deal with it in the morning. But when morning came and I still couldn't access my account, alarm bells started ringing. I called their customer service line. 45 minutes on hold. When someone finally answered, she said, "I'm sorry. I'm showing your account has been flagged for review." Flagged for what? I asked. My voice was already getting shaky. I can't provide specific details, but you should receive an email within 24 to 48 hours explaining the situation, she said in that rehearsed, corporate monotone. I asked to speak to a supervisor. Another 30 minutes on hold. The supervisor said the exact same thing. I went to work that day, but I could not focus. I kept checking my email every 5 minutes. Nothing. I searched online for Merchflow accounts suspended and found horror stories. People who'd had their accounts frozen for months. People who never got their money back. People who'd been accused of violating policies they didn't even know existed. That's when the panic really set in. This wasn't just money. This was my down payment. This was 18 months of sacrificed sleep, strained relationships, and endless work. This was supposed to be my way forward, and it was slipping through my fingers. I couldn't eat dinner that night. Sarah tried to comfort me, but I could see the worry in her eyes too. The email came Tuesday morning. That's when I was sitting in my car, remember? Dear user, your Merchflow account has been permanently suspended due to violations of our terms of service, specifically regarding intellectual property infringement. All associated funds have been frozen pending further investigation. Sincerely, Merchflow Trust and Safety Team. Intellectual property infringement. I read those words maybe 20 times, trying to make sense of them. Every single one of my designs was original. I'd created them myself or purchased licensed graphics. I'd been so careful. I knew the horror stories about copyright strikes. I'd done everything right. Or so I thought. I called customer service again immediately. This time I got a different person, equally unhelpful. The decision is final. We cannot provide specific details about which designs violated policy. Your account will remain suspended and funds frozen for a minimum of 90 days while we assess potential damages to affected parties. 90 days. 3 months. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. What affected parties? I demanded. I didn't steal anyone's designs. Show me proof. But there was no proof. No specific allegations. No due process. Just a faceless corporation with complete control over my money. And I was powerless to do anything about it. Here's what I learned that day. When you use platforms like this, you don't actually have any real rights to your money until it's in your bank account. It's in their system. It's their rules. They're not regulated like banks. There's no FDIC insurance. No government oversight. No appeals process. They can freeze your funds for any reason or no reason at all. I started researching. According to a 2023 study by the Freelancers Union, 37% of gig economy and platform workers have experienced payment issues, including withheld earnings. But here's the thing, most never get their money back. The platforms have all the power, and individual workers have almost none. I spent that entire week in a fog. I couldn't focus at work. I snapped at Sarah over nothing. I wasn't sleeping. I'd lie awake at 3 a.m., my mind racing through every design I'd ever created, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. Trying to understand how this happened, trying to figure out how to fix it. But there was no fixing it. I hired a lawyer. Well, I had a consultation with a lawyer. He listened to my story, looked over my documentation, and basically told me I was screwed. You could sue them, he said, but it would cost you $15,000 to $20,000 in legal fees, take at least a year, and you'd probably lose. Their terms of service give them broad authority. So I just lose $10,000? That's it? I asked, already knowing the answer. He nodded sympathetically. Unfortunately, this happens all the time with gig platforms. They operate in a legal grey area. My advice? Move on and learn from it. Move on. Like it was that simple. Like 18 months of my life meant nothing. The financial impact hit fast and hard. Remember that condo dream? Gone. I'd also been counting on that money to cover some upcoming expenses. My car needed new brakes. My rent was increasing by $100 next month. And I'd already mentally allocated money for everything. Now I had to recalibrate my entire financial life. But the financial damage was only part of it. The emotional and psychological toll was worse. I felt stupid, naive. I trusted this platform with everything. I believed that if I worked hard and played by the rules, I'd be rewarded. Instead, I'd been reminded of a harsh truth. In America, the system protects corporations, not workers. My relationship with Sarah suffered too. We'd had this plan, this hope for our future together, and it had been ripped away. She was supportive, but I could feel the disappointment. Not in me, but in the situation. Our dream of moving in together was postponed indefinitely. Date night stopped. I was too depressed, too broke, too angry. You need to let this go, she told me one night, about 3 weeks after the suspension. We were sitting on her couch, and I was obsessively scrolling through online forums again, looking for anyone who'd successfully fought Merchflow. It's consuming you. You're not the same person anymore. She was right. But I didn't know how to let it go. Work became a struggle. I'd been planning to use my side hustle as leverage to negotiate a raise or maybe even quit and do merchandising full-time. Now I was stuck in a job I'd been trying to escape, more trapped than ever. My performance suffered. My boss noticed. I got my first ever negative review that April. Everything was falling apart. I tried to start over with a different platform, but I couldn't. The motivation was gone. Every time I sat down to create a design, I'd think about those $10,000, about all that wasted effort, about how it could happen again. Why would I invest my time and energy into something that could be taken away on a whim? I felt paralyzed. Around week 6 of the suspension, I found an online community of people who'd been screwed by gig platforms. Thousands of us. People who'd lost money on Merchflow, on freelancing sites, on delivery apps, on short-term rental platforms. All of us with the same story. We'd worked, we'd earned. Then the platform changed the rules or found a reason to keep our money. Reading their stories was validating, but also depressing. One woman had lost $18,000 from a freelancing platform after being accused of using AI for her writing, even though she hadn't. A guy lost $12,000 from a delivery app after a false accusation from a customer. None of them got their money back. None of them had any recourse. This is the dark side of the gig economy that nobody talks about. We're told it's freedom, flexibility, opportunity. And sure, it can be those things. But there's no protection, no labor laws, no guaranteed payment, no worker rights. You're completely at the mercy of platform policies that can change overnight, enforced by algorithms and overseas customer service reps. According to the Economic Policy Institute, 57 million Americans participated in gig work in 2023. That's more than 1 in 3 workers. We're a massive part of the economy now, but we have almost no legal protections. We're classified as independent contractors, which means companies can avoid providing benefits, overtime, or basic job security. The 90-day hold came and went. I sent emails to Merchflow every week, asking for updates. Most went unanswered. The few responses I got were generic, copy-pasted corporate speak. Your case is still under review. We will contact you when we have more information. Day 91 came. Nothing changed. My account stayed frozen. Day 100. Still nothing. Day 120. I called again. Got transferred 5 times. And finally spoke to someone in their escalations department who told me they were extending the investigation indefinitely because they'd identified multiple potential violations. I asked what violations. They wouldn't say. It was Kafkaesque. By this point, it was June. 4 months since the suspension. I'd given up hope of ever seeing that money again. I was trying to move forward, but it was hard. I'd picked up extra shifts at work, trying to rebuild my savings. Sarah and I were still together, but things were strained. I was bitter, angry. I'd lost faith in the system. Then, in July, 5 months after the suspension, I got another email. After completing our investigation, we have determined that your account violated our terms of service. As such, your account will remain permanently suspended. However, we will be releasing 62% of your held funds, minus processing fees and chargebacks. 62% of $10,000. That meant I'd get about $6,200. Minus fees, I got $5,940. They kept over $4,000. $4,000 that I'd earned, that I'd worked for. That was mine, and there was nothing I could do about it. No explanation of what I'd violated. I should have been relieved to get anything back, but I wasn't. I was furious. That missing $4,000 represented months of work. It was the difference between being able to move forward with my life and being stuck in the same place. It was the difference between hope and defeat, and they'd taken it without even telling me why. I deposited that $5,900 into my savings account. It sat there for weeks. I couldn't bring myself to use it. It felt tainted somehow, like accepting defeat. Sarah urged me to let it go, to use the money for something positive. Take me on that trip we always talked about, she suggested, but I couldn't. Not yet. Eventually, reality forced my hand. My car broke down in August. The transmission, $30 to $100 to fix. I had to use the Merchflow money. Watching that balance decrease felt like losing all over again. That money was supposed to be my down payment, my future. Instead, it was going to fix a 10-year-old Honda just so I could keep getting to my job. It's been almost a year now since everything collapsed. I'm still working at the warehouse. Sarah and I are still together, but we're not where we hoped we'd be. We're not living together. We don't have a condo. We're both still renting separate apartments, still struggling with the same financial pressures that made me start a side hustle in the first place. I think about that $10,000 all the time. Not just the money itself, but what it represented: hope, progress, a way out. I think about the 18 months I spent building that business, the sacrifices I made, the relationships I strained. I think about how quickly it all disappeared, how powerless I was to stop it, how the system failed me. Here's what I learned from this experience. The gig economy isn't freedom. It's a trap disguised as opportunity. These platforms prey on desperate people. People like me who are trying to get ahead, trying to escape paycheck to paycheck living. They lure you in with promises of flexibility and earning potential. Then they own you. They control your income. They can change the rules whenever they want, suspend your account for any reason, keep your money indefinitely, and there's nothing you can do about it. You have no rights, no protections, no recourse. You are not an employee, so you're not covered by labor laws. But you are not really independent either, because they control everything about how you work. The American worker is getting squeezed from every direction. Wages haven't kept up with inflation. Housing costs have skyrocketed. Healthcare is unaffordable. Education costs are crushing. So we're told to hustle, to work side gigs, to be entrepreneurs. But the platforms we're forced to use have all the power and none of the accountability. According to a 2024 Pew Research study, 61% of gig workers say they've experienced at least one significant problem with platform companies, including payment issues, unfair deactivation, or lack of support. 61%. That's not a bug in the system. That's the system working exactly as designed.
These companies have built empires worth billions of dollars on the backs of workers they classify as contractors so they can avoid paying benefits or providing job security. They've lobbied against legislation that would give us protections. They've spent millions fighting workers' rights. They want us desperate and disposable.
I'm not special. My story isn't unique. There are millions of us out there who've been burned by the gig economy. Drivers who've been deactivated without explanation. Freelancers who've had payments withheld. Sellers who've lost their livelihoods overnight. We're the collateral damage of a system that prioritizes corporate profits over human dignity. Sometimes Sarah asked me if I regret starting the side hustle. It's a complicated question. I regret trusting Merchflow. I regret not withdrawing that money sooner. I regret how much time and emotional energy I invested in something so fragile. But I don't regret trying. I don't regret hustling. Because what other choice did I have? That's the real tragedy here. We're forced into these situations because the traditional system has failed us. A full-time job isn't enough anymore. Not for most of us. Not in this economy. So we hustle. We sacrifice. We work ourselves to exhaustion. And then companies like Merchflow take advantage of that desperation. They profit from our fear. I want to end this with some inspiring message about resilience or not giving up. But honestly, I'm still angry. I'm still hurt. I'm still trying to make sense of how this happened and how it's legal. How can a company just keep thousands of dollars that someone earned? How is there no oversight, no protection, no justice? What I can say is this. If you're thinking about starting a side hustle on one of these platforms, be careful. Read every word of the terms of service. Withdraw your money frequently. Don't let large balances build up. Don't trust that the platform has your back, because they don't. Document everything. And know that at any moment it could all disappear. We need better laws. We need worker protections that extend to gig economy workers. We need platforms to be held accountable when they withhold earned wages. We need transparency in how suspension decisions are made. We need appeals processes. We need basic human dignity and fairness in a system that currently offers neither. I am trying to move forward. I am trying to rebuild. I am trying to let go of the anger and the sense of injustice. Some days are better than others. Sarah and I are talking about the future again. More cautiously this time, with more realistic expectations. I am looking for a better job. I am trying to save money again, slowly, painfully. But I'll never forget what happened. I'll never forget watching 2 years of work disappear in 72 hours. I'll never forget the helplessness of calling customer service and being told there was nothing I could do. I'll never forget the lesson that in America, corporations have rights and workers have hopes that can be crushed. If you've experienced something similar, know you're not alone. There are millions of us. Our stories matter. Our experiences matter. We deserve better than a system that treats us as disposable. We deserve security, fairness, and basic respect. Until we get that, we'll keep sharing our stories. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, please share it. The more people who understand how broken this system is, the more pressure we can put on lawmakers to change it. We deserve better. All of us. And maybe, just maybe, if enough of us speak out, something will change. Until then, stay strong.